Tw- for 20
No.
minutes.
What the hell is that?
Oh,
There
it's
he
live
goes.
now.
I told you.
Why did it
Wait,
take
what?
forever for us?
Oh wow, it's there, but it wasn't there. That's crazy. Boom.
What, but that is
No,
kind
see,
of peculiar, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but it's totally live.
it wasn't live for other people.
It wasn't
Whatever.
live for me. Yeah.
I wonder if the intro was accepted by
Twitch.
Twitch.
Well, do you at least archive to your hard drive at the same time?
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I
Okay.
don't think I do actually, but whatever. I mean, whatever it accepted, who gives a shit? What's up, internet? We had a really cool intro. It was sick.
Holy shit!
What?
When somebody subscribes, it tells you how many months in a row.
No, that's like it's not when they subscribe. It's something going on now. I don't know what it is.
It just says it's Cody, right?
Yeah, but he
Unsubscribed,
didn't
right?
just subscribe. He was already subscribed. I don't know what that is. It's like a
Maybe
feature I think that each subscriber can like do to show the chat like, "Hey, check it out. I've subscribed this many times in a row." I
But
think.
it
I don't
says
know.
he just subscribed.
But I
Maybe it's
don't think
like,
he did.
hmm,
Cuz when the cat was activated and when the Twitch alerts was already ready to go, it
right.
didn't say that as the last subscriber.
But see, the thing is that those all those things are based off what that thing says, right? So if they're changing how that thing is saying it, then Twitch alerts and all those things might not work the same way. They might not be able to detect if they were only detecting it to say just somebody has subscribed and now
Hmm.
it says extra stuff. It might be like, oh, that's not a subscription message. Then ignore that. You know?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting.
are you sure it's just not an automatic renewal?
That
It
sounds
might
more
be.
like it. That's what people are saying, that it's an automatic renewal and whatever. I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know what that is, but I appreciate it, whoever that was. And I hope that
Cody.
the intro of the show didn't get cut out because I thought it was pretty good myself, but whatever. Anyway, what's up, guys?
What's
Meatballs.
up?
I forgot what we even talked about.
Chow
Meatballs,
mein and
forks,
orange chicken.
yeah, orange chicken. You
How
tried.
you how you mistaken your Spanish or no, your Middle Eastern coworker for being Spanish?
Yeah, she could not translate that message, dude.
I
Yeah,
wonder
that's pretty
why.
good. Not bad, not bad. We got a bunch of stuff we want to talk about today. Lots of interesting news this week. I guess, should we start with the Tekken Crash news? I think that's kind of interesting, but maybe we'll kind of segue to that later when we get to Tekken 7 at EVO and everything. I guess we should talk about Tekken. I guess we should talk about EVO overall.
Hmm.
So I think it was on Twitch's official channel. Mike Ross interviewed Mr. Wizard, who is like, I don't know if
Fat.
he should be considered the owner and operator, but he definitely is probably the owner and operator of Evolution. In case you don't know what it is, it's the biggest fighting game tournament of the year every year. Gets bigger all the time. Last year had like 2,000 plus players for Street Fighter 4. It's a big deal. So what they did is they announced the name, location, and the games, which is not the name, location, the date, location, and the games, which is a big deal because if you don't know too much about the fighting game scene, the interesting thing about the scene, and it's actually something that I don't really like too much, is that Evolution grew to be so big that it's kind of like this parent tournament to all the other tournaments that happen like throughout the year. And when Evo announces what games it's going to have, it really dictates what games those tournaments are going to have for sure, then therefore dictating what games fighting game players play, especially the ones that are, pros, the better players, the more competitive, more, the guys who travel and all those guys. Usually that dictates what they play. Now, what they play usually dictates what all the minions and randoms play. So it's kind of like this, shit rolls downhill effect where Evo announces the games, and at that point, it just dictates what gets played. I personally I'm not like totally in love with that idea because historically, a lot of the games that I've loved very much have, not been on the lineup, and that has, made those games kind of die. So that's the downside of it. But the plus side is this tournament can, in other cases, give life to games that perhaps did not have that much life before. And we'll get into that in a bit. But let's go over the games that have been revealed for Evo this year. And I think we should, maybe talk about each one and how we think this year will be for that game. Because a couple of these games are shockers to me, and maybe three of them are shockers to me. So we'll start with Ultra, obviously, Ultra Street Fighter 4. And the interesting thing about this, before we even move on, Evo for the last few years has been really tight about what games are there, and there haven't been that many games. Usually 5, 6, or 7 tops. This year they have 9 games, and I think
They've
Rixta,
had 9 games before though.
they
Hmm.
have, but it hasn't. It's been a while, right?
2 years, I think.
Okay, so since 2 years ago, we haven't had 9. Rixta called it. He was like, they're going to have a shitload of games this year, and it's kind of true. They do have a lot of games this year. So, Ultra Street Fighter 4, nobody's surprised about that. Capcom announced $500 million prize pool put in by Sony this year for the season of Ultra Street Fighter 4. I'm sure part of that $500 million has something to do with Evo. I'm sure they're going to put a bonus pot. It's going to be huge. That's going to be a big fucking game at Evo. It's going to be the biggest. Anything to add about that? Obviously, it's going to be there. There is no question about that. I'm happy it's there. It's basically the locomotive for the fighting game community train. You know, wherever it's going, Street Fighter 4 is the one that's pulling it. So, of course, it belongs there. You guys have anything else to add? Ricky? No, Ricky, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking that 500 million thousand trillion is I don't know how much of it is really Capcom's and the majority of it, how much of it's Sony's.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, last year was all on Xbox. So
Mm.
do they make the move back to PS3, which is kind of
Hmm.
not the community standard anymore? I think that like the majority of tournaments, I think use Xboxes. So
Wow.
I wonder if that will, like if that's gonna hurt relationships one way or the other between Evo, Capcom and Sony. So uh,
Wow, I didn't even think about that. So Sony is sponsoring this 500 million. I know it's 500K by the way. 500 million dollar season tournament for Street Fighter 4. Sony sponsoring that. Historically, the competitive console for Street Fighter 4 is Xbox. So what we're concerned with is what if they have to switch back to PlayStation, which the reason people don't play competitively on PlayStation allegedly is that PlayStation has one or so frame of natural lag for all Capcom games. So, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike HD Operation Online or whatever has one more frame of lag. Marvel 3 has one more frame of lag, and apparently Ultra Street Fighter 4 also has that frame of lag. So to lose that latency, they play on Xbox. What do you think about this, Rip? You think this is gonna hurt them, help them? Are we going to PlayStation? 500 million.
I don't know that they're gonna move over yet. Because I feel like the half a million. Well, fuck.
They said tournament season. They said like
Yeah,
for the year
right.
2015 for the tournament season, they're going to
And
use. Man, that's an interesting question.
yeah, because you got to assume that Capcom. I mean, anything on the Capcom Pro Tour is going to be part of that 500 million, and so they would probably be expected to play on PS3, right? Unless that's not in effect. Is that already from this year now? Starting now?
I mean, they said the 2015 tournament season, and I'm noticing someone in the chat mentioning they might just put it out on PS4,
so
right?
there's already the PS Now version, which is the
Wow,
streamed version. Uh,
wow.
but I mean, I don't know how hard it would be to make it, a not streamed version, because obviously you can't run a tournament on a streamed version of a fighting game.
No, but I mean, at this point, it's on PSN. It's running on PS4. I'm pretty sure they could just poop it out, right?
It could, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. That seems like the most obvious solution. Now, the most obvious problem that comes up after that is will it still have that difference, whether it's one frame of lag or what? Will there be some difference for the PS4? I don't know. We'll see. But,
Yeah, I never
um,
heard that one frame of lag thing. I always thought it was because of those frame drops on PS3.
dude, I heard it from the horse's mouth. Like, I heard Capcom saying that officially. Like,
Hmm.
this is the way it is. PlayStation's hardware has this blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've heard them say that. So, I don't know. I don't know the
Interesting.
details, but I mean, we have that. We have Ultra. We have Marvel 3. Personally, this was the first game that they, in the order of things that Wizard announced, this was the first one where I was like, wow, really? I mean, Marvel, to me, right now, pulls the same numbers as Tekken. Like, a weekly tournament for Tekken was pulling like 20 people, right?
Hmm.
Marvel is pulling like 16 to 20 people. So Tekken Tag 2 is what I'm talking about. So, I
Right.
mean, I don't know. Personally, I feel like Marvel is kind of in trouble. But the one thing that makes it belong here is that Capcom has $500 million. So you better fucking put Marvel there because we got 500 million. So that's
I,
what I'm thinking. Go ahead.
I wasn't even surprised by it because Marvel last year was so big. Like, I'm not necessarily in terms of players, but just like on finals day, with Justin coming back and winning and everything. Like it was an exciting tournament. It was
True.
huge on finals day, and I think that sort of thing always helps a game return to Evo.
You're right about that, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything because Blaze Blue was really big last year. It was arguably the best tournament.
Hmm.
And also, the prior year, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 was, many people said, one of the best tournaments as well, with Bronson getting, so far and everything. And initially, Tag 2 didn't make it to EVO last year. It had to be
Yep.
like Markman doing all kinds of upside down helicopter kicks to get it there. So, like, though you're right, hype is very important for EVO, it doesn't necessarily cement it. So, personally, watching that game develop since the last Evo, it hasn't looked all that great. But now it's there, and I suspect it has to do with Capcom's 500 mil. What do you think, Ricky?
I don't think it has anything to do with the Capcom money because honestly, they don't put any money towards that game. They never give out bonus pots for it. I think they don't even have it at Capcom Cup or anything like
Well, they
that.
can't. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they don't really care about that game anymore. So I don't think they really care too much if the game's at Evo or not. The only reason why I think it's at Evo is because that game is still good at majors. Like even though
True.
it's dead in weeklies,
Hmm.
Hmm.
at major tournaments like KIT, you're still gonna get people to show up and play. Like they had I think that Cloud 805 guy. I don't know where he's from originally, but he's sponsored by KIT. He went up against Justin Wong, and it was like a really fun finals to watch, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like those are like it's still a big major tournament. People will still travel for it. Where versus like uh, let's say Tag Two. Not even though we get a good amount of numbers at weeklies, people don't travel for the game,
Yeah.
so it doesn't travel well. But I think the other thing too, the reason why Marvel's struggling is because I guess I want to say like people just get sick of playing the same people over and over. Like
True.
like it's like almost like watching the same two players play each other and Virgil versus Doom and all this other shit. And then but at least at majors you get to see the best of wherever they come from play
Yeah.
each other. It's like Marvel. It's history repeats itself. It's almost like exactly how
True.
Marvel Two.
I was thinking that
is.
myself. Like during the dry spell of Marvel 2, that game was whacking weeklies. It was like there wasn't anything going on, but then majors were still pretty hype. They did those money match evos, remember? I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, that's probably true. History usually does repeat itself, and it looks like Marvel secured its spot at Evo again. And I don't really have any problem with that. I like Marvel, actually. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, overall, the one thing I don't like about Marvel, and it's been talked about many times, is as a viewer, as a stream viewer, the one thing I don't like about Marvel is that there are too many Yipes copycats for commentators, and I think that's already been like acknowledged by the scene. Like I don't think the idea of a Yipes copycat is no longer unheard of. People know like okay, the Marvel scene has a lot of these types of commentators, and I'm hoping by that time the Marvel commentators will kind of get their own flavor and not copy Yipes. As good as his commentary is, I really think it hurts the viewability of Marvel when everyone is doing the same shit, when there's a combo going on. And I understand that's a tough game to commentate because there's a lot of combos, and what else are you going to do but say ooh, ooh, ooh the whole time? But still, like, get your own shit to say, is what I have to say about that. Can we move on? You guys have anything else to add about Marvel? Okay, so the next big
No,
one. Well, go ahead. What? Was that a no?
He said
that
no.
was a
Oh,
that was a
sorry.
no.
Sorry, it was a your accent. Um, So Super
Oh.
Smash Bros. I don't know shit about it. It's on Wii U, which is a console that they don't usually use at Evo, but that's not a big deal. It recently came out. The vibe I've been getting from this whole thing is obviously the game's gonna be there. That's no questions asked. But now that it's there, I hear a lot of people talking shit. And one interesting thing that Wizard mentioned that I think was highlighted is like he said something like it's a real game or people are playing it like it's a real game or something like that. Like you guys shouldn't talk shit about it because people are playing it like it's a real game. So I'm thinking to myself like, why wouldn't it be a real game? Like, is it a real game? Why wouldn't it be a real game? So what do you think? You wrote the guide for that shit, right, Rip? What do you think about the game being at Evo?
I think it's a real game. I just think that the community, it's more of a limited game than Melee, basically, right? Melee is the grand standard of Smash for competitive gameplay, and it's because of what it allows through movement, etc. And there's some cool new stuff that people have found, like in the last like 2 months that makes things a little bit more technical, but still it's not on that level of Melee that everyone wants to see. But it is the newest thing from Nintendo, and Nintendo's officially sponsoring Smash tournaments now. Like I think Apex is the one that
Ooh.
Nintendo is officially teaming up with right now. So it's the first time that like the community event has Nintendo's official backing. So I think uh, Evo is probably looking for some Nintendo support, or maybe they already have some Nintendo support, and they got to make sure Smash Four is there.
Yeah, my prediction is that what's that guy's name? Jerry or whatever? Jared?
Callie Jared, yeah,
No, the Nintendo owner guy.
Reggie,
Johnny, what's his name?
Reggie.
Reggie. I think that guy's going to be at Evo for sure. I think that guy's going to be at Evo, and I think it's going to be one of those things where he talks about how much he loves his fans and whatever. So I think it's going to be a big deal. I think Nintendo's going to sponsor it, and related to the topic, they're going to have Melee there as well. And I think a lot of people are butthurt about there being 2 Smash games at Evo. I've been hearing nothing but like Evo is for 12-year-olds now, and all these jokes about 2 Smash games and shit. But you know what? I mean, as much as I love jokes, and as funny as that is, dude, they pull the craziest numbers. What do you expect, man? I mean, they deserve it. Like I've never been into it. I've never. It's kind of like weird to even think about how like if you go to Evo and you go outside this year and have a cigarette, if there's someone else outside having a cigarette, you can bet on it being a Smash player, just because of the number of Smash players that are going to be at Evo. So as the years have gone by, I've found that there are a lot of Smash players that are going to these tournaments now, and it's going to be no different. This is going to be a big, huge Smash tournament in my eyes. If Super Arcade is getting 200 plus players for Smash when Street Fighter pulls like 60 like on any given week, then you can expect the same kind of what do you call it? The ratio is going to be the same, so it's going to be huge for Smash, and they deserve it. They carried around those fucking CRTs all these years, so whatever. That's cool with me. You guys got any gripes with that Melee idea?
I mean, it was predictable that Melee would be there as well as the newest one, just because Nintendo, has that. Remember, like I think the first year Melee came back, they had that thing where like, oh, Nintendo's not allowing us to stream
Yeah.
this game, right?
Yeah.
And then like everyone made a fuss about it, and then eventually they let up.
Yeah.
And then it's like I doubt Evil would just have Melee without the newest one, because then Nintendo would be like, what the hell? Why aren't you playing our new game? So I think it's it's making Nintendo happy and making the Smash community happy, because Melee, I mean, is still the big dog, even though you have a new one. I think Melee hit the cap at Apex, 1,028 players.
I
Like,
heard that both of them did.
yeah, so
I
that's
heard
good.
both games hit the cap. So
Oh, nice. And so they obviously they deserve it, and you're bringing in players that I think don't play any other fighting game really. So that's always nice to see.
yeah, it's good for the tournament, and it's good for everything. I mean, it's good for everything. If you're bringing in a shitload of fucking players that don't play the other fighting games, you're gonna get crossover. These guys are gonna be like, wait a minute, Smash is whack. Let me play this dope shit. I mean, hopefully that's what you'll get. They'll realize like, whoa, man, this is tight. I mean, I'm talking shit, but you get my point. What's the downside? Whatever. Fuck it.
So I was saying when I did the MLG commentating last year, and with Smash was there, and I was talking to the Smash, a couple of Smash players I talked to, like Prague and D1 and who's that guy, Korean DJ, and all of those guys have played Tekken, and it was like the weirdest thing to me that like all these like major players or major people in the Smash community have like some kind of a Tekken background. I was like, where did that transition happen? And it's like for them, Melee is similar, and it's interesting like that exists and that we've lost Tekken players to Melee. So
I have this hypothesis here. So Tekken Tag 2, some of the best players were Book and AK and Gen Kids.
Gen.
And then we're talking about Smash players liking Tekken. Tekken's a kid's game, party game. I don't know. I don't know.
It's funny. You got to think. We have a Tekken player in SoCal by the name of Matrix Matt. He has a brother that's actually really good at Smash. I don't know. I
Oh
think he's
yeah,
like,
I've met him.
yeah, Tyrant is what he goes by, and it's not the MK Tyrant.
There's
but
another Tyrant.
yeah, but he's apparently really good at Smash too. So I'm sure there's crossover there. So
I think that's a conclusion we could come to. Tekken party game, and Tekken players love Smash. I've never played it myself. I'm waiting for Pokken myself, but I'm totally not waiting for Pokken. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever. Smash is there. I'm down with that. It's gonna be cool. I don't know if I'll watch it. Technically, the way I feel about it is Evo has to have a couple of games that you don't give a shit about because you can't just spend your entire Sunday fucking watching top eights, right? You gotta go fuck around a little bit and eat shrooms or something, right? So at least we'll have
the way it is now, you walk up and you leave that seat, you're never getting that seat back anymore. At this
It
point,
sucks now.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, you
They should have assigned seating.
Yeah, why not? Buy a ticket, buy a seat. That would be tight.
Based on the number of years you've attended, you got to sit closer to the front.
Why not?
Damn, we'd be front row and center.
Yeah, dude.
Why not? Okay, next game. Guilty Gear XRD. This was the game that This was one of the games that I was very happy to see there because if it didn't make it to Evo, you could fucking call it dead on arrival. Now that it's at Evo, I feel like it's putting a lot of wind in that game's sails. I am more interested in it, and this kind of correlates to what I said earlier. It's a double-edged sword. It sucks that Evo is able to dictate what games are sick, but it's also a fact, so you kind of have to accept it. Now that XRD is guaranteed to be sick for the next 6 months, I'm going to keep my eye on it, and I'm sure there are many people other than myself who feel the same way. Like, I don't know, I was on the fence about XRD. Now it's there. Bing, bang, boom. I'm excited. What do you guys think about this decision? I'm happy it's there. Your thoughts? Ricky, you own the game.
I think it's a good decision just because one of the main, I think the good thing about Guilty Gear for a lot of, like, let's say casual watchers is that they'll recognize a lot of the good players from Street Fighter because guys like Marlon Pai is a great Guilty Gear player. He's a Marvel player. Flash Metroid made top 8 for Street Fighter. He's a great Guilty Gear player. There's a bunch of them, so I think fans will like that. And then it's just the game as a whole is it's the only game. Well, no, wait, I take that back. It's the nicest looking anime game right now because it's the newest and it's on a next generation console. So I don't know. I wasn't surprised at all one bit. I knew it'd make it, so not a shocker to me at all.
On the topic of you saying people will recognize the players and stuff, historically, the reason I ever started playing Guilty Gear, and I used to play the first one that Zappa was in, I don't remember which one it was, but the reason I picked that game up is because of watching Daigo play it at EVO. Like back when Guilty Gear X, whatever it was at EVO, I was watching Daigo play as Soul Bad Guy, and I was thinking, this guy is fucking everyone up in this too? This game too? And so I was watching it and thinking, all right, if Daigo Uma Juarez is able to play this game that I love, super well, which was Third Strike, he also likes Guilty Gear, I'll try Guilty Gear. That was my attitude, So, sure, why not? I think good players will recognize them. I think people like Tokido and, people that are always after the cheapest shit will be there, and they'll be contenders. So I'm happy about it. I'm definitely happy about XRD being there. Anything else to add about that game? We can move on to KI.
Well, Guilty Gear, do you guys think it'll be on PS3 or PS4?
That's the other question too. I mean, at least it's not between two consoles, Xbox or PlayStation.
That's true.
Yeah,
I think they're going to have PS4s there though for the killer for what's it called for Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
So
wait, why would they have PS4s for that? They could do that on PS3 too.
I really hope they don't. You think they will? Wow.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I would assume at this point we're already kind of at that point where now the next generation is the current generation.
Yeah, Evo isn't even now though. Evo is in 5 months. In 5 months, PS3s are gonna look fucking retarded. They're gonna be like, "Ew, look at that."
Even if they look super old, that's what everyone has their arcade stick for, right?
But what I'm thinking, now that I think about it, we talked about it with Ultra, right? But what I'm thinking might happen is Sony comes in and is like, listen, Evo, we'll just give you a million PS4s. Use them for MK, use them for XRD, whatever. Here you go. And
Even try to make it work for Killer Instinct somehow. We don't give a
just
shit.
put that shit together. I don't know. We'll see. But the console thing is to be determined. I think we'll see. We'll see about
Yeah.
that. But okay, XRD. One thing I'm noticing now is that out of the 9 games at Evo this year, Rip, you wrote the player's guide for 2 of them. That's pretty impressive. Killer Instinct
Damn.
is at Evo, and this is going to be season 2, which was taken over by whatever
Iron Galaxy.
Iron Galaxy. Iron Galaxy. No way in a billion years I would have said the correct thing if you had let me try. So what do we have to say about that? I think it's pretty cool that it's back because if KI was not back, you might as well throw your Xbox in the garbage can. Now at least there's a reason to keep it for 6 more months before you throw it in the garbage can. What do you think about Killer Instinct being at Evo? Rip, you go first since you wrote the guide.
I think that's cool. I think that they have been adding a lot of stuff, and they've been following the League of Legends model really well in terms of the newest character that comes out is always broken, and then they patch it right
Okay.
after that. So they've got like the newest character that they revealed, at least in video form, which may not make it the same way out that he currently is. He has an extra bar of meter compared to everyone else, and so when he has 3 bars of meter, he has a command grab that has a really long startup. But if he hits you with it, your entire life bar turns to potential white life damage, and so he can just jab you and kill you after that in one hit, which is crazy, right? But that's the route they're going, and it might make if you see that on the Evo top 8 page, you might get crazy for it just because it's so ridiculous,
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's cool that it's in there. Yeah, I don't know how big the scene is anymore, like because we don't really have tournament stuff. The online
Right.
tournaments are still pulling in numbers, so it has viewership. But right now, you got to be thinking CD Junior and Rico Suave are like money. Like
Yeah.
they're
Why
like
not?
biggest best players, and for them, they're kind of on top of the scene. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone can take them out. Like I don't know how much Justin plays the game anymore.
Right.
Justin used to be really good, and I don't
500
know.
million, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So
chump change. Unless it's not chump change, you never know. Maybe it'll become
right.
like I don't know.
Yeah, what if Microsoft decides to throw in money behind KI for Evo or something? You don't know. So,
Chances are they will. I mean, chances are they will. Of course.
hmm
I mean, I don't
yeah,
know. I figured it would be there. Keats is involved with the development process of season 2, and he was also heavily involved with Evo back in the day before he had a grown up job, I guess. So, I mean, yeah, KI is going to be there. I think it belongs there. Again, that was one of those games, just like Guilty Gear, where if it wasn't there, I mean, you're dead. It's dead. I mean, if Evo did not put
yeah.
Marvel, Guilty Gear, or KI in that, lineup, they were dead. So that's cool. I don't like games to die like that, and that's a good thing. Anything else to add about KI before we move on to MK?
I mean, they've got that awesome rank system that they're
Oh
implementing.
yeah, tell me about that.
So it's like they're redoing the rank system so that people will basically have a couple placement matches, and again, following League of Legends, you'll be placed into like bronze, silver, and gold division, whatever, right? And the way they're doing it though is that you can't ever get demoted once you get into a division.
Hmm.
So you get into like say bronze, and you play only match you up with bronze people, and then eventually you get ranked up to silver and then to gold, which is similar to how Tekken's ranking system works, except Tekken has way more layers above it.
Hmm.
But the interesting thing is, once you get above gold, the next level after that is called killer. And once you play ranked in that set, anyone you get matched up with, it's a first to 2 set. So it becomes like a tournament, And in that game, Killer Instinct specifically, understanding how your player plays and when they combo break and stuff is really important. So the longer sets help a lot. And then after a month of that, they're going to reset like the top 32 of those killers in the killer tier, I guess. They will get like pro status on their like player card, whatever.
Nice.
And so that's like something that shows up like you're a pro, And each month that killer top 32 is going to be reset. So there's a reason to play it every month to be in that top
Good
32 of
idea.
it. So yeah, it's a really cool rank system, and I hope other games pick that up too.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. So the 2 out of 3, once you reach a level where you deserve it, and then the top 32 of that tier, which is called Killer, becomes like you stand out
Right.
via your tag or whatever. That sounds fantastic. I think
Mhm.
Namco has done that with their arcade cards, in history, saying like SBO champion or something like that, right? Like,
Right.
I don't know, some kind of special tag or item.
Mhm.
That's cool. Sounds good. Mortal Kombat. This is one that I'm really looking forward to. I'm really excited about MK10. I think it was like 100%. Other than Street Fighter 4, this is the one that there's no question in my mind it would be there. NRS will just put Mortal Kombat in when it's 10 years old, So I knew it was going to be there. Mortal Kombat 9, old ass game, made it all these years, 3 years, I think. I'm super excited about the game. We were just talking about it before the show started, Rip. The interesting thing about Mortal Kombat 10 is it's getting kind of close to the launch of the game, and we still know very little about it. They've only shown less than half, is what seems like in my mind, of the characters. We haven't seen a lot of the stages. Even the characters who have been shown, we haven't seen their complete play styles. We haven't seen anything about some of the, what are they called, X-rays and shit like that. So I don't know. I'm really super excited. I guess as far as Evo goes, it's a given. It's obviously going to be there. I'm kind of glad that they didn't put Injust Ass in. I thought maybe NRS would be like, fuck you, put it in, motherfucker. But I'm glad it's not there. It would kind of clog up the whatever of the tournament. So what do you guys think? MK10, obviously, right?
Yeah, that was a 100% pick too. No way it wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It is kind of concerning though, just knowing that we know so little about the game.
Mhm.
The only character I'm really interested right now, all I saw him do was crack his knuckles from the darkness, and that's it. And I'm like, I'm hyped, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know what he plays like. I don't even know what he looks like in the
What
game.
the
He might look
game plays
stupid.
like. I haven't played it yet. Rip, you got to play it at E3 last year and shit, but I haven't even pushed one button on that game or even touched a controller. So I'm
Yeah.
just blind excitement. It's like, okay, I liked MK9 a lot. Injustice was cool too. Whatever, I'm down. I don't know. It's like I'm just excited. It looks cool.
Yeah, actually, I played it again at what the hell was that GameStop Expo that
Hmm.
was in Anaheim, whatever. So I was gonna say, it hasn't been really 6 months since I played that game. No, I played it again recently, which was only a couple months ago. But yeah, the game it still looks amazing, and we'll see. Right now, like you said, a lot of the game we haven't seen yet. We've seen less than half of it, pretty much. And if I'm just curious, like what happens? Like it's supposed to be coming out in April. So what happens if it gets delayed? Evo's in July, so as long as it comes out before July, even if it gets pushed back by 2 months, we'd still get it
I
like a
don't
month
think it'll
before
get
Evo.
delayed
But
two
what if it
months.
happens?
I guess it could.
Yeah, and so I was like, this has never really happened where a game got delayed. But I'm like, if that happens, what does Evo do? Because they have a date, right, that they cut off
Yeah, that's it. I think it's a
games from
month.
getting in.
I think it's 4 weeks, but I'm not sure about that. I don't know what their policy is on games, but I have okay. So basically, the conversation here is how far along could the game be for it to be coming out in March? Right now, January might as well be over. So you have like a month and a half before the game comes out, right? So at
Right.
this point, it's either NetherRealm Studios is intentionally not showing you a lot of the game, so that when the game comes out, there's a lot to see still. That is very possible, and we have kind of confirmed that Tekken is going to do this with the arcade release. The arcade release will come out, and then there will be time release. So the game will literally be out, but the players won't know all the characters that are in it. So perhaps this is something that they're going to do. Mortal Kombat historically has been really heavy on the unlockables. Like there's a crypt, and you got to test your might and do all this bullshit so you can unlock all this weird shit. And it's like maybe they're kind of going in that direction because it's a single player experience to them as well. And maybe they're going to do a lot of unlockable characters and costumes and stuff. In which case, that would explain why we don't know a lot about the game. The downside to that, if that is what's going on, is the balance of the game. If we don't know a lot about the game, that means no one knows a lot about the game. And that means when it comes out and boom, Goro is cracking his knuckles, you might be in some trouble. Those knuckles might be unblockable. There might be some kind of problem. So, either way, I think this is a really hype way to develop a game. I like the idea of not knowing what's going to happen before it comes out. I like that idea. It makes me feel like a kid again. I don't want to see all 65 characters and know everything about what they do, so that when it comes out, it's like, oh, just do what I saw in that trailer, or do what I saw Perfect Legend doing in that whatever sneak peek he did with whatever. So I like the idea. Do you guys have any complaints about this kind of business model where you don't really know everything about the game before it's launched? What do you think, Ricky?
Well, on the balancing thing, I don't remember the last time an NRS game has ever come out of the box balanced. You know, like
Yeah,
this Evo is gonna be it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be the game will only be out for a couple months, so
yeah,
it's obviously gonna be who finds the cheapest shit as fast as possible and gets good with it. You know, and
true.
that's almost how every game is. So, uh, I'm not too worried about the balancing aspect. You know, they're just keeping it close to the chest. You know, and just like, you know, just maybe they're just really good at marketing their product, right?
But let me stop you there real quick. When I said balance, I didn't necessarily mean cast balance between the cast. I meant like historically, NRS has a problem with shit like block infinites and like
Yeah.
loops, like reset loops and stuff like that. So I'm just concerned about that kind of thing. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that's. I'm not necessarily too worried about how the game is progressing. I think I don't. I highly doubt it'll be delayed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just whenever it comes out, I'll play it and then see how it goes from there.
Okay. Okay. Your thoughts, Rip?
No, I think what you mentioned about like the possibility of like block infinites and loops and stuff is what's going to make MKX so exciting at Evo for me.
Could be.
Like,
Yeah.
and another thing you got to consider too is what patch version of MKX are we going to play? Because you know they're going to patch the shit out of
Yeah,
it before
that's
Evo, right?
that's like
So,
at this point, it's not even a question. It's like, oh yeah, they're gonna patch it a million times. I'm not even gonna let that surprise me when it happens. You know,
right. I mean, it's coming. We all know,
right?
and whatever you find, shut up about it. Otherwise, it's getting patched.
Isn't that
Basically.
fucked up? That's the worst part. That really is the worst part. But then again, there is some, uh, like nostalgia there because
Yeah.
you know historically before YouTube existed, the whole fighting game scene has gone upside down because 10 years ago when you found some sick shit you were like, ooh, was anybody watching that? Turn the TV off. Don't fucking talk about that shit until Saturday because I'm gonna win $300 with this trick, right? Now it's like, I found that. Everybody turn on the cameras. Let me make a video and get that YouTube money. You know, it's like the culture of the fighting game competitive scene has changed so much that now that if maybe this is kind of like the glass is half full attitude we can take with NRS's patching system. Like, okay, we know they're gonna patch the game hella. You know, maybe we'll keep some secrets. You know, maybe we'll be like, okay,
Dude,
you know,
I would love for that to return, man. And I
yeah,
feel like the Killer Instinct community is kind of doing that too right now.
yeah. Why
Because
not?
Keats has been patching everything that gets broken. Like I can see people were like, "Yo, no one's talking about that because they want Keats or Keats to nerf it," you know. So
Exactly. And there's also not a lot of max CPM going on for Killer Instinct, so it's discouraging of the people who find that shit. Unless it's Maximilian, who else is going to get a billion views for Killer Instinct, right?
right,
So that's the strat. Maybe it's like, dude, this is crazy. Like history totally repeating itself. Even though YouTube's out, this is the new method of like
yep.
sandbagging and keeping strats and stuff. It's like the dark ages are returning, like Malice said, dude. That's crazy. Anyway, I like the idea. I like the idea of, pocket sand. I like the idea of, one thing I want to bring up that's kind of unrelated, but I do want to bring it up is recently we watched the MMA fighter John Bones Jones fight against some other clown, right? And it's not that big of a deal, but he's a champion. And one thing I did want to bring up is, so this guy, he's a fighter. He's got a really long arm reach, right? And he's really, really good. He's the UFC champion. He's fucking everyone up, right? In the middle of that fight, during the fight, Joe Rogan, who is the commentator, the guy eye poked him, and this guy is notorious for eye pokes. I mean, everyone knows he's got the long reach, and the way he fights, he pokes the guy in the eyes, right? The first eye poke happens, and Joe Rogan is like, there's the first eye poke. As in, like, it's a special fucking move. Like, if they were going to make a game with John Jones Bones in the game, he would have an eye poke, right? So what I'm thinking is, this guy literally knows that he cannot get a point taken away from him for the first eye poke. Why the fuck would you not gouge out that motherfucker's eye if they're not going to reprimand you for it, right? So literally, we have a UFC champion here. He is a champion, right? And he is using pocket sand to maintain his belt. So I'm basically in love with this guy. This guy's my favorite UFC fighter at this juncture just because of that. And this whole, that was totally a side tangent, but this whole idea of Mortal Kombat having patches and people like keeping their strats, it's fucked up, but at the same time, it does have some classic fighting game charm to it. And I really like that aspect of it. MK10, I'm super excited. I'm super excited. I can't wait. Anything else to add about Mortal Kombat in the context of Evo or any context, I suppose? What do you guys think? Anything?
Let's just hope it's on PS4.
Yeah,
It's
I know. That's the one thing I'm concerned with. PS4. I mean, it's going to be on. I guess it could be on Xbox One, right? But we know they're going to have Xbox Ones at Evo because of Killer Instinct. So we
Mhm.
know they're going to be there. It's possible that it'll be on Xbox One, but I think that if they do put Mortal Kombat on Xbox One, it would be super shitty. Because what about pad players? I don't even think they have converters to play pad on Xbox One. So to play like a real pad, like a PlayStation pad, not that abomination where you have to kick the Z button or whatever the fuck it
Yo,
is.
speaking of pads, did you guys see that Mad Catz Lynx pad?
Yeah, what is up with that?
$300 pad.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks crazy. Like it looks like you
Yeah,
can customize everything and put a keyboard on it. It's not even like a
right.
pad. It's like
I mean, but it's a
everything.
$300 pad still. I mean, that's crazy to me, dude.
I don't know. You tell me. I'm not really familiar with how much. Like, don't racing wheels cost $300 and shit?
Yeah, but I mean, racing wheels are like much bigger than something you can hold with one hand.
Yeah,
Like
but dude, a computer's a fucking processor is like the size of a fucking fingernail, and it costs a shitload of money. I don't think size correlates to price. Is my
I see
point.
what you're saying. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of shit that goes into a big ass stick, and I guess there's a lot of shit that goes into a really small CPU. So maybe there's a lot of shit in this pad.
I don't know. I don't even know much about it. I think I should know more about it before I talk more about it. But it looks like something that could be cool. I mean, right? I don't know, it
No,
looks
yeah. I mean,
weird.
yeah. I mean, as a
As soon
pad
as I saw
player,
the price tag, I thought to myself, "Wow, that must be cool. What does it do?" Like I saw that there's a bunch of pieces, and then I saw the price tag. I was like, "Damn, that thing must do something. You better keep an eye on that."
It
So
probably allows you when you throw it, it breaks into pieces, but it magically just
comes back
comes
together,
together. Yeah.
T1000 and shit. Or if you throw it, it comes back to your hand like a batarang or some shit.
whoa,
Who
it
knows
looks
what
like
it
one.
does? But they're up to something over there at Mad Catz. So that's something to think about. That's true. Um,
Mhm. Maybe it's a mouse too. It looked like a mouse from like when it's like shrunk down or whatever.
Keyboard, mouse. It's a gun con. It's a fucking
Hmm.
dance
Whoa.
pad. Who knows what else it could be? We'll see.
How
Anyway, Mortal
tight.
Kombat, Evo, Xbox, PS4. Next game. This to me is the one game that's like, this is whack. This game. I mean, like I'm the type of person who has a podcast, and like some people are influenced by the things I say, and you don't want to necessarily blah blah blah. Who gives a shit about Persona 4? I don't even know what it's doing there. It's the clearly the odd man out to me. Right? I mean, is there another game here? Even 10-year-old Melee is like, yeah, that belongs there. Persona 4? Ew. Like, what is that even doing there? What do you guys think?
I called Persona 4
Why would you call
Why?
Persona 4?
because it's number one, it's a new version. Number two, there's a huge like I follow some people on Twitter, and
Okay.
I kind of get the words out. There's a certain person, Giuna from American player, lives in Japan right now.
Mhm.
He's a big anime player. He was like saying it was shit about like how if they have that, like there's a huge Japanese following, and if they have that game at Evo, like there'll be a shitload of Japanese players coming specifically for that game.
Mm.
So I don't know if that has a lot to do with it, but out of all like we know how I said like there'll be a lot of games this year,
Mhm.
like because of that I thought there'd be at least two anime games. And so Guilty Gear was one, and the other one was either going to be Persona or Under
Unio.
Bed in Night Birth or
Mhm.
whatever the other game is called. Yeah, Unio. So I thought it'd be either one of those two. So I'm not surprised either of those two were chosen.
Well,
So
I have to say I'm surprised because having two anime games and then having kind of no 3D games, even though Tekken 7 will be there in some capacity, and we'll get to the details on that, but there are no console 3D games. So I thought that having two Melees is like, okay, it makes sense. We can justify it. Having two anime games, especially when the one that's bigger, which is Guilty Gear XRD, was kind of like, is this motherfucker gonna make it? We were kind of like rooting for XRD to make it. So my guess is, I mean, they're developed by the same company. Am I right?
I don't
I don't know.
I
Is
don't think
Axis
so.
do
I don't know
Persona?
who makes Persona, but my guess is
Atlas
it's the same
Atlas
company.
No, I think Atlas handles Persona. Guilty Gear is handled by Axis Gaming.
But I think Axis Gaming makes the fighting game of Persona. I might be wrong about that, but I think that the
I think
same
Atlas
company.
does the U.S. translation, maybe.
Yeah, I think the game is developed by the same people that make Guilty Gear. And again, I could be wrong about that. But that could be the explanation to why it's there. They're like, well, we're coming all the way over here from Japan to fucking support XRD. You better give us another game. There's already 9, you know? So I don't know. That could be the explanation. I'm looking at the chat room, and it seems like people are confirming that they are developed by the same team. If that's the case, that is the explanation. Still, though, I mean, Persona? I
Wait,
guess.
didn't last year that company throw a buttload of money at BlazBlue or something?
Hmm.
Oh, so maybe they're just gonna throw buttloads of money at everything.
Could be, or
Yeah,
maybe
okay,
they
well
feel
that
like, oh,
explains that. I mean, from a business standpoint, that's the explanation as to why it's there. But from a fighting game player standpoint, what the fuck is Persona doing there, right? So,
I think that's just you not really knowing what's played outside of what you know.
well, I
but
mean, I'm
even
looking
still,
at 9 games here, you
right.
know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
of the
I know,
9 games I'm looking at, the
understandable.
ones I know the least about are Smash. So 9 games, I'm looking at 9 games. I know the least about Smash, and I think Smash is way more ugly and less interesting than Persona. That's for sure. I would
Mm.
play Persona before Smash for sure, but I don't think Persona belongs there in my eyes. You know, my eyes are obviously not 100% educated when it comes to Persona as a game. I'm just saying I'm looking at 9 games and one of them stands out as the one where it's time to take a shit break. You know, uh, I don't know. That's just my stance on it. It doesn't mean I don't think it should be there necessarily. I'm just really surprised that it is there. And the answer again is that the same developers make Guilty Gear, and I'm really happy that Guilty Gear is there. So, bing bang boom. That's a open and shut case. You
Yeah.
guys have anything to add? I doubt it. We don't. None of us know shit about Persona, right?
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know shit about Persona either, but I mean, the way I see it, it's kind of like I feel like that game should have had Markman calling in to get it put in at the last second, compared to it just being announced on the list.
That
That's how
is
I
an
feel whenever.
excellent point. I mean, Markman had to do, like I said, he had to bend over backwards to get, Tekken at Evo last year, and boom, they got Persona's name is on the guest list. Like, that's fucked up. It's like Guilty Gear got to bring a +1. That's fucked up. Bringing his girlfriend along. I don't know if I like that. But whatever. Anyway, Persona's there, Guilty Gear's there. That's the end of that. Moving on. Melee. We kind of touched on it with the new Smash Brothers. I think we all agree it deserves a spot there just because the players pushed it to be there. And I think the lesson and the message that people should take away from this is, if your scene is strong enough, your game will never die. I mean, that's for sure. My hat's off to whoever the fuck is out there who keeps supporting these old ass games. You guys deserve more credit than you get, because that is impressive. This is an old fucking game. Wasn't this the game out when Soul Calibur 2 was out? I mean, I think so, right?
Jesus, is that
Melee.
right?
I'm not sure when Melee came out. Do you know what year it came out?
It
It's
can't be
it's
Soul
over
Calibur,
10 years old.
but it can't be when Soul Calibur 2 was out because
No,
was the
I Soul
GameCube
Calibur
even?
3.
I don't even think the GameCube was like. Was the GameCube out then?
I
I
don't
don't
know,
know.
man. Yeah, the Soul Calibur 2 came out on GameCube with Link.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
Oh
I'm pretty
shit!
sure that they were neighboring games.
Yeah, it
Melee
could
came
be.
out, Soul Calibur 2 came out. So they
Wow.
share real estate in terms of history, in terms of time. So these
Jesus.
guys were able to keep this game alive, while Soul Calibur is like a memory. It's like me and Dan, like that's it.
Hmm.
So I mean, they deserve credit. It came out at the same time, and they deserve a lot of credit. My hat's off to you. You deserve it. Whoever you weird 12-year-olds are. Good shit.
Dude, everyone that plays Smash now is like in the 30s and shit.
They're
I don't
old.
think
Yeah, you're either like 40 or you're 12, which is a bad
Yeah.
combination.
And
Uh,
the interesting
so
thing is, there's players that are coming up still in Melee, dude.
I'm sure
Like
there
they're
will be.
challenging all the old school like top dogs.
It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. That I think that game will never die. It's too big.
The other thing is Mango C9 Mango has won the last 2 Melees at Evo,
Mhm.
so he has an opportunity to three-peat, which hasn't really been done, I don't think.
Ever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In any game at Evo is what I'm saying.
Right. Any game. Two repeats have happened several times, but no three-peats. So, okay, final game, the one that, I think most people are really surprised about, really excited about, and there's also some weird, like, what is going on here attached to it is Tekken 7. So, in case you don't know, the timeline is Tekken 7 is supposed to have a pre-release around February for arcades. Then the official release, which we're not 100% clear on what that even means, is supposed to be in March, which is 1 month after the pre-release. So you have 1 month there. The official release is in March, and then you have a couple months left until EVO. Between this time, allegedly, they are going to bring cabinets for Tekken 7 to majors, uh, I guess, across the world, not just in America. My guess is, in Europe, in different parts of the world, they're going to take these machines and run some kind of events or tournaments or qualifiers or something to give people the opportunity to play the game, to then play at what they called the first global tournament for Tekken 7. Now, there are a lot of aspects to this, but let's just start at the top. The announcement was that Tekken 7 will be at EVO and there will be a tournament for it that, correct me if I'm wrong, is open to the public and it is a global tournament on arcade. So the next immediate question comes up, well, that's kind of weird. How the fuck are we going to have a tournament for a game that's not even out yet for most of the world, right? The next response, the retort to that was, we're going to bring the game to several events to give people the opportunity to play it. And Markman mentioned that they're going to try and give you the opportunity to use pads at these tournaments on these arcade machines. Now, that brings up tons of questions, but this is all really good news. I mean, this is all super good news to me, because from my perspective, there's no way Tekken Tag 2 was going to make it to EVO this year. The fact that it made it to EVO last year was like, I was lighting a fucking candle. I'm so glad
Just
that
giving
it
it
made it.
CPR
Yeah,
and shit.
exactly. I mean, please, it was like Rebecca Chambers. I gotta save her. She made it. And at this point, it's like, okay, Tag 2 probably not going to be there. I'm a little concerned that, Tekken 7 wasn't going to be there because it's not going to be out yet. I was a little worried about the Tekken scene overall because we're going to miss an EVO and there's also no Soul Calibur there. Boom. All of a sudden, Markman's like, don't worry about it. Tekken 7 is going to be there. They're going to bring enough cabinets to feel comfortable enough to run a tournament there, which there must be a lot of cabinets if you're going to run an EVO-sized tournament there. Which brings my next question. Is this going to be a truly open to the public tournament, or is this going to be these events that come up before EVO are qualifying events? And if you win these events, you get a spot in the 64-man EVO tournament that's going to be ran on the main stage. So these are the two options that I see in the future. I don't know if it's, I don't know, I mean, I don't even know anything about it. All I know is that it's going to be there, it's going to be on arcade, and they called it the very first global tournament for Tekken. What do you guys think? How do you guys think this is going to pan out? What do you guys think about this whole thing? What do you think? You first, Ricky.
I don't see the invitational thing working just because I don't know how many events they can actually go out to, especially in America. And where you're gonna have it when you're gonna have the tournament in America, it's like you have how many majors from now up until Evo? It's like I don't know how many there are. So I would imagine it's gonna be open to the public. I don't know how they're gonna decide like you know when people get to play it beforehand, or during it, but. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it'll be just be an open, just an open tournament. I don't think
But how
any.
logistically, how is that even possible? I mean, think about the number of cabinets you would have to bring from Japan to America to hook up and let open. I mean, dude, think about it. There's no way it would be even possible in my eyes. I don't know. Maybe it is
Maybe
possible.
maybe they don't have to bring cabinets.
Dev kits, bro.
Ooh.
I mean, they did say They did say they were gonna play an arcade. Maybe they'll just bring. Maybe they won't even have to bring the cabinets. Maybe they'll already have them in America. There's
Good point,
there's
I guess.
there's a few different options they can go. I mean, I'm sure they're still working now. I'm sure even I don't even know how confident Evo is running this tournament yet.
Right, yeah.
Because there's so many different. This is a curveball that they haven't
Yeah.
done in a long time. So
Ever,
it'll be
right? I mean,
interesting to
they've
see.
never had Tekken, any 3D game in arcade form. They've never had that. So this is a first as a
For a
main
tournament,
tournament.
right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
as a
Mhm.
main tournament, they've never had a Tekken as in arcade form. So I don't know. What do you think about this idea, Rip? You think we'll have qualifiers that will put you in a bracket at Evo, or you think it's going to be just like come sign up and wait?
I think Ricky's right. I think there's not enough events leading up to Evo. Like you've got E3, Final Round, CEO. Those are like three major ones that come to mind. There
Yeah, but
might
what
be
about things like SCR, NCR? You know, like they're
right.
events.
There are, but I'm
Road to
saying
Evo has like six. What about like 6 events, right?
even if you had six, what are you going to take the top eight of each to make a 64? Not even a 64. You'd have eight times six. That's 48 people. You know what I mean? You'd still need more than that, probably. I mean, you wouldn't want an Evo tournament with 32 people in it. You know, like it would be a major game on the finals day on Sunday. Which, by the way, Mark Man said it's going to be a game that's going to have its top eight like on stage at some
Hmm.
point. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's kind of the plan. And also, someone else in the chat mentioned like, will it be playable to the public? And Wizard said that currently, it's not set in stone yet, but they're planning to have Friday open for the public for everyone to practice, and then Saturday be the day for the tournament. So based on that too, I think that it's definitely going to allow people at the event to
Yeah,
enter.
you're right about that. I forgot about that. They did mention that Friday would be practice day, Saturday would be tournament day. So that suggests that there's going to be open entry, but there could also be a cap. That is
Oh
also
yeah.
a possibility. Like, okay, it's a 128-man cap. I
Mhm.
can't imagine them running more than a 128-man tournament on arcades unless they have a fucking ton of
Right.
arcades.
I mean, and the thing is, they said arcade. I mean, I know they also said cabinets, but if they think a little bit more logistically, they might go the dev kit route. They could bring the arcade build. It would have USB ports on it, so it would allow controller ports. So I think that's probably a better route if I had to run a tournament before my console game was to come out. You know.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot there. Developer kits, they crash, and they
Hmm.
get fucked up. I don't think it's really that common for a game to be ran in a tournament on a dev kit. You
Well,
know?
what I'm saying is like you end up having like the retail build, the build that's supposed to not crash,
Yeah,
and that's the same one you put in the arcade. You run that build on the same
yeah,
machine,
I
like
see it.
there's a chance that could work.
I don't know. I mean, that definitely is a possibility. Either way, I think that this is like another Christmas miracle. Because, again, last year, we were all saying, like, dude, Markman really saved the day. Harada, Michael Murray, everyone involved with that. Luckily, they put Tekken Tag 2 in last minute, and, it was a part of the game. It was cool. We had a good finish, JDCR1. It was awesome. If it wasn't there this year, I would have been really concerned because there's a lot of we're on the fence here. There's a lot of negative aspects to the whole arcade release, Western world not being able to play Tekken for a very long time. If it's not at Evo, are people even going to give a shit about it because Street Fighter 4 is such a powerhouse right now? There was all those aspects. So I'm really thinking that we, as the Tekken scene, we once again dodged a huge bullet. Again, thanks to Mark and of course Joey, Mr. Wizard, and everyone else involved. We're gonna have a presence at Evo, and that's a really good thing because everyone's gonna be watching. And the games that as I mentioned many times, Evo dictates a lot, and the stuff that you see at Evo is the stuff that's sick. So now that Tekken 7 is at Evo, it's official. It's
Hmm.
sick. Like on paper, it's sick enough to be at Evo. And the fact that that's happening is a huge, huge deal. A lot of people are hating. A lot of people are saying, like, what's the point? The Asians are just going to come over here and fuck everyone up, which is probably true, but that's not really what matters. What really matters is that if Tekken 7 wasn't at Evo, when Tekken 7 is going to be at Evo, when it would have been at Evo, it wouldn't have been as big a deal. But the fact that it's not going to skip over a year, the fact that it's going to be there, and when everyone's watching, they're going to see those, characters. They're going to see that game. It's a huge deal in the end. And I think it's really important to, show appreciation to the people that were involved with it being there because it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. I mean, of course, Mark, man, he's going to run a Tag 2 tournament at the Mad Cats booth, which every year the Mad Cats booth is becoming a fucking castle and shit. Like last year, I played the Soul Calibur finals on the Mad Cats booth, and it was a nice big screen, and I had a lot of fun. So it's going to be a great year for Tekken in general. I think. You guys have anything else to add about this idea? Do you guys overall support the whole decision? I mean, basically, it's like, man, we'll take what we could get, right? I mean, it's
Hell
the
yeah!
best fucking
Hmm.
case scenario possible. couldn't
You
have
know,
been better.
it was funny because like when I was watching the Evo announcements, right? I see Harada tweet and he just says one. It just says watch this, and it's a link to that, to
Yeah.
the announcement. And I'm thinking to myself, Harada wouldn't tweet that unless Tekken's there,
Yeah,
or
of
Tekken's
course.
involved. So when I saw that, because at that point I was like, Tekken's not in. So I'm like, I have no idea what other game's gonna be in it. But when I saw that, I'm like, all right, so what are they gonna announce? Tekken 7 is gonna be playable at Evo, which is like, I've been calling
Duh.
that. We've all been calling that,
Yeah.
but to have it to say that it's an official game in the official
Yeah.
lineup was just like
Boom.
no one expected that.
Yeah.
Not and it's perfect
You
for it,
couldn't have
because it's just
expected it.
like
It's
now
impossible to
there's gonna be,
expect.
yeah, of course. Yeah, there was a 0% chance in my mind that was
Yeah.
gonna happen, and it happened. So, I mean, this is the best case scenario by
Exactly.
far.
Oh
So
yeah.
I
I'm
mean, it
excited.
literally is, because the only other better case scenario could be if Tekken Tag 2 was a main game, right? But in my mind, that's a worse scenario than this, because it would
Yeah.
only be like, what is Tekken Tag 2 being here? It would be like a big stink. And we don't want to stink. We want no stink. We want the fart to just be funny, and that's the end of it. No smell, And I think at this point, it's seeming to be that way. Like, it's really cool. I have no problems with Asians coming here and kicking the shit out of everyone in Tekken 7 on arcades at Evo next year. I have no problems with that, because everyone's going to be watching it. Everyone's going to see that shit, and it's going to be tight. I'm super excited about this whole thing. Your thoughts, Rip?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys already nailed it. Like, it's the best case scenario for us. I mean, the only thing that could have been better was Tekken 7 console release in May, and we have the console game
Right, exactly.
like that. And that's the only way it could have been better. So, this is definitely the best case scenario. And, huge shout out to Wizard and Markman and Harada and Michael Murray and them for making this happen. Because if you look back, I mean, first of all, Markman said that Wizard was working on this way back in August.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back to even TGS, Michael Murray was on the mic and he said, like, we're trying to bring this out to events for you guys, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been working on this for a long time. And,
Yep.
it's cool that this is the route that they're taking, even though it might have to be arcade cabinets brought to Evo. It's such a drastic approach to make this happen for the community that it's just amazing. So, yeah, I'm super excited about it. Is there anything else to talk about it? Yeah, I mean, as far as like Koreans coming, like, or whatever, or Asians coming, like, that's what Power Crush is for, dude. Just they don't play Tekken Revolution,
Power
man.
Crush through all that strategy
Yeah,
and being good and
exactly.
shit.
Right.
Yeah,
We
I
got
don't
them,
know.
dude. We got them.
I totally think that all the stuff mentioned is really, really important to remember. The whole, like, this is obviously like this really Illuminati, type of thing going on behind the scenes where, everyone's talking to each other, Wizard, Mark, and everyone. They're really trying to support the scene, and they're really trying to make this. They're trying to make the best of what some people think is a shitty situation, which is Namco's policy on the whole arcade release. So we all know it's a shitty situation. Everyone complains about that, and everyone in the Western world and Europe and South America and everywhere else is like, Harada, why are you making me wait for all this? So this is like the best thing they could possibly do to kind of sidestep what they have to do with arcades, and I'm super glad that it's going to work out. As someone who has been to every Evo since they called it Evo, this is going to be my 15th year. I'm super amped up about this one because I'm planning on playing MK, and Tekken 7 is going to be a spectacle because it's never happened before. We're going to get Asians coming here, destroying people because they're hella sick at the game, and then we're going to get, the nerdiest Tekken players of all trying to get them. We're going to try and beat them. And who knows? What if it happens? What if some guy, like whatever random, TKJDCR, we know and love him. He's like in the chat room and shit. He's the best Tekken 7 player. He comes over and some random jobber McGillicuddy is giving him a run for his money. And he's had a year or 6 months worth of head start. It could pan out to be a really exciting tournament. And overall, I mean, I couldn't be happier about all that. On the topic, though, of Tekken 7, this doesn't have anything to do with Evo, but it was just posted up by Flying Wonky that I guess Korea is planning on bringing back Tekken Crash, which is the TV show that they show on fucking TV that is 100% about Tekken. So Tekken 7, you guys can plan on Tekken Crash coming back. A few episodes of this podcast ago, I was saying, man, I really miss Tekken Crash. This is gonna be tight. Tekken Crash was awesome. They had those
Mhm.
Tekken Crash girls, those Korean chicks. You know, everyone loves that. Remember that? Remember that fat guy, that fat Korean guy? Remember that guy?
The
The
DJ.
DJ? Hopefully they bring that guy back. Hopefully they
Didn't
bring.
the DJ always yell in English too? Like
Yeah, dude.
I
That's
feel
what I'm
like
talking about.
all Asian DJs in like foreign countries, they don't know how to speak their own language. They only know how to speak English.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. And then, of course, you know, hopefully Nin comes back as a commentator. You know, I've always been a fan of Nin's commentary. So for the Tekken scene, that's a huge deal. You know, Tekken Crash coming back, you know, I'm super excited. I don't know how much of that is set in stone. I don't know how long it will be around. But just knowing that there is a possibility of the return of Tekken Crash is a really good thing for the Tekken scene in general. And just as a fan for myself, I was a huge fan before, so I'm really excited. Do
Hold
you
on, hold
guys
on.
go ahead?
All right, so I'm looking at Tac Tac, 1893. You know the guy that puts up all the Korean channels, right?
Right.
So it's a 3-on-3 tournament, Tekken
Mhm.
Crash,
Mhm.
and he put up some teams.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's Ni plus Narakov plus Namjam Yum Sung Sung Jungin,
I know him
which I
personally.
believe is Lee Mario.
Okay.
I think that's Lee Mario. The other one's Help Me plus Malgu plus Jizmoon Face.
Mm.
The other
He's
one
my
is
favorite.
Only Practice plus Chanel plus How. And then the last one is Han Kuma plus JDCR plus Saint.
Sick.
Yeah,
Sick.
so I mean, so it's I guess I don't know if there's more teams than that or if it's just that, but I mean that's already just hearing the names and the team combinations is like that's kind of I'm hyped now.
That's
Just
tight.
knowing that.
I think JDCR is in the chat room dropping some kind of info about it too. So I don't know. I can't see what's going on. Chat's moving too fast. But either way, that sounds fantastic. I mean, like I said, I was a huge fan of it, and even not as a fan, just as it building hype for the Tekken scene, I think it's great news. Fantastic news. So good shit. Good shit. Everything's looking like it's good news for the Tekken scene, and that's good. I'm
I
happy about
reposted
that.
what JDCR said by the way in the chat.
What was it?
Now I want to say Tekken Crash T7 is next week for an event, and it's gonna be on
What?
Game TV.
Holy shit! So it's pre-release Tekken 7, Tekken Crash.
Wow.
Crazy.
So I wonder if Tekken Crash is going to be like sponsored or something by Namco, and this is
Mhm.
going to be released with the release of Tekken 7. Like,
Wow.
here's the game. It's coming out in February. Wait a minute. It's already February, like next week. Isn't Korea like a day ahead? So a week from now is going to be like, you know? Boom, they're already in the future or some shit. So that's fantastic. JDCR has just confirmed in the chat room that sooner than later we're going to be watching Tekken Crash with
Wow.
Tekken 7. Good times. Good times. Everything's great. Great news. Okay. What else? Did we forget anything
There's
about
a ton of
anything?
stuff, dude.
What
Like
else?
Harada had that interview on Polygon where he talked about how Tekken Cross Street Fighter is still in development. They have a development team of like 40 people,
Mm-hmm.
and part of those people are still working on Tekken 7. So Tekken Cross Street Fighter is still coming. He also mentioned that he's doing less and less on Tekken these days, which I thought was kind of interesting. And that he said that the guys working on Tekken have so much experience now with the franchise that they kind of can handle it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So he also mentioned that like he had a kid recently. That was
Oh, wow.
news to me. So
He's
Wow.
married?
shout out to Harada.
Congratulations, Harada.
Yeah, dude.
He's a
Yeah.
dad.
Right.
Yeah, give him the Harada face
Harada
clapping.
face
Harada
clap.
face clap. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
Harada's the dad. Congrats, amigo. Nice
Yeah,
work.
but he said that now that he has a kid, like he looks back and it's like he's been with Namco for 20 years, and he's thinking like he's thinking more about time, and he's thinking like maybe he only has 20 more years to make games, so like he's thinking about all the stuff he wants to make and what projects he wants to work on in those
Mhm.
next 20 years. So it was a really good read. I'd suggest anyone to go check that out. Polygon.
Yeah,
Something
there's
or
a
other.
link. There's a link here somewhere, I think. Let me see. It is this one right here. I don't know, Polygon, whatever. You can find it on the site. But yeah, there's the Tekken Crash thing. But yeah, that's great. That's cool. I read part of that. I think we talked about it earlier about how we suspect if Tekken Cross Street Fighter ever comes out, it's likely that it's going to come out after Street Fighter V because there's no reason for them to release that game before Street Fighter V when Street Fighter V will have new Street Fighter characters. And if a Tekken Cross Street Fighter game is going to come out, there's no reason for that game to come out and not feature the new characters in Street Fighter V. So logically, it makes sense that that game will come out after Street Fighter V, probably sometime after the console release of Tekken 7. I don't really have much else to say. I'm not really like, Tekken 7 is really what I'm looking at. I don't really need to, count my chickens before whatever the
Mhm.
saying is happens. So, whatever. Cool. Check it out if you want. Anything else to add on the interview thing? Tekken Cross 7, whatever it's called. Shows how much I don't give a shit about it. Tekken Cross 7, what is it called? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he said that like people were waiting for so long, like he obviously wanted to release it earlier, whatever. So he said when they do release it, it's going to be some sort of a surprise. He said maybe they'll do it the Tekken Revolution route, where it's like, hey, by the way, you can get the game tomorrow. Like he said, he's not sure that that's what they're going to do, but they can't do it the regular way. Is his approach
Huh.
right now.
Interesting. Okay, like I said, Tekken Cross 7, who gives a shit about that? I'm more concerned with, Tekken 7 specifically. Tekken Crash sounds like great news. JDCR confirmed it. What else? Anything else that we're missing? You said there's tons of stuff we forgot. What else?
Well, I mean, there was that Microsoft had that event yesterday, last week. They were talking about how
Oh,
Windows 10
yeah.
and was going to have some Xbox functionality, and they announced that. And it was probably the worst feature they possibly could have announced. So what they're allowing, first of all, I mean, the one cool feature they're going to do is they're going to have an Xbox app that runs on Windows 10, which lets you have your friends list and your achievements and stuff carry over. They're going to allow cross-play between the two consoles for certain games. It's not official whether that's going to be for all future games. But like the next Fable game, Fable Legends, you'll be able to cross-play on it. But the one feature they're allowing you to do is stream your Xbox game to play it on your PC. I don't know how many people want to do that because, like, basically, it's like, oh, my TV's in use by my children, and so I want to play it on my PC monitor instead. That's their killer feature, I
Could
guess.
that be? Okay, well, that sounds like a shitty feature. But what about if I want to play your Xbox game from my PC?
Then your PC would probably have to be in my house on my network.
It would?
Probably.
Why?
I think that's how that's going to work. It's probably
But
going to be on the same
remember,
file.
Ricksta said that there's that sharing shit for PS4 where you could do sharing of a game and like whatever. Why can't?
Yeah, but that's when you download it to your system still. This isn't downloading. This is more like stream playing kind of thing.
I'm not
It's
Oh,
basically
familiar with it.
it's basically just instead of using that TV over here, I want to use this monitor in
Yeah.
front of me.
So
It's
all
like
it is
wireless
like
HDMI
lazy people don't have to unplug something. That's it.
and move it to another room, maybe.
Sick.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Okay,
Exactly.
so that's whack, right?
The cooler thing they announced was the HoloLens thing. Did you guys hear about that?
I don't know anything about it.
Oh
It's
God,
like it's awesome. First of all, I think it's awesome. It's
nerds.
super nerdy.
What do you mean,
but
nerds? Are you calling me a nerd? I haven't even said I like it yet.
Just yeah. The only person I've seen geek out about this is Rip and Speed Kicks, and they're the two of the biggest nerds I know. So it's like all they're doing is just geeking out
Yeah,
over
they're
it.
like
You leave my son alone.
of the nerd spectrum. They're like polar opposites. Speed Kicks is a genius, and then Rip, they're both nerds, but the two opposite spectrums. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Microsoft HoloLens is it's like a headset thing that you wear, right? Like
Uh-huh.
similar to Oculus, except you can see through this one, right? So you can see the real world around you still.
Okay.
And it's a computer all-in-one device on your head. So it's got like a CPU and GPU and all that stuff in it built in. But instead, like Oculus is virtual reality, right? You can't see in front of you. Everything you see is like, in your own black world, basically, right? And with alternate reality, this HoloLens that they're calling it, whatever, you see your real world. It maps out all the surroundings around you. So it knows like this is a desk about this height, whatever. It knows that that's a wall, that's flat, whatever. And it can project things onto these things. So it's like, you could have like a TV, like, oh, let me put up a TV right here on this wall. Boom, there's my TV right here. I'm just watching it right here. You don't have to like have a TV actually. You could have an interface, like say your expert window, you can just like, boom, move it up here, move it over here, put it on that wall. And you could like look back this way, you won't see it anymore. You got to look back at the wall to see it again. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. They showed examples of like Minecraft where literally like you can build a castle like on your table, and then when you stand up and look at it, you see it from all the angles, whatever.
Wow.
You could have like explode a hole in your wall, and you could like look into the wall and see through the wall to like this alternate reality, whatever. So like all that stuff is just ridiculous. And it's interesting to me because there's this company Magic Leap who was talking about, well, no one knows what the product is, but everything that people who have seen it, it sounds just like this Microsoft thing. and it seems like Microsoft just basically shit on them by releasing it first, because Google Google I know has invested $500 million into Magic Leap, so that's not a small amount of money, and now they're second. You know what I mean? And everyone's gonna look at
Yeah,
Microsoft as
but dude,
innovator.
PS4 was second.
What?
PS4 was second. Xbox was the one that announced their shit first, and then
Right.
PS4 was like, "Yeah, this is us, and we're not whack." So I wouldn't go against Google, right?
I don't know. I think that Microsoft has a bigger software developer base. So like because they're saying like you make any kind of Windows app and it'll run on this,
Mm,
as opposed to like, hey, make something for us. We're Magic Leap. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I think that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, it's
So
not a
like,
good. The PS4 thing isn't a good comparison either, just because like the thing that Microsoft introduced was like brand new technology, you know.
yeah,
So now the
super.
Google company comes, it's just like, damn, look at those biters trying to, you know,
Do the Microsoft
right?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's not a good look for them, but
Yeah, and like I was thinking about like how this could apply to gaming in the future, you know, and I don't think it will for a while, because it's an all-in-one unit. Like you're not gonna have like a GeForce GTX 970 strapped to your head that's this big or something, you know, like
What
they're
the
gonna have to
fuck is
go.
that?
Don't worry about
What
it.
the fuck is that?
uh, Point is that it's not going to have a lot of processing power built in the first versions that come out, but I mean in the future you could have it where like literally your room, like the Silent Hill example came to my mind,
Mhm.
where like your room turns into Silent Hill. You hear the siren and you see your room transforming around you, and then like maybe you can see like portals in the wall and monsters crawling through it at you and stuff. It could get really freaky.
Is
So
that
that's,
really what the direction of gaming is going in? Like they're
dude,
just trying to simulate hallucinogenic drugs and shit? Like, okay,
dude,
cool.
it's it's going to be crazy because these augmented reality things that they're doing, Magic Leap and Microsoft's thing, eventually it's going to look like the Magic Leap one in particular. People said like the objects, you cannot differentiate them from real life. Like you see it and you're
What?
like, that shit is there. You know what I mean? Like
So you could
it's
put an apple on your desk in front of you, and the
yeah,
apple is there in 3D as long as you look at it through this retarded thing that you're wearing on your head.
right. And well, yeah. So like another example they showed was like a Skype call, right? And instead of just like we seeing each other's faces, it's like I can see what's through your eyes and you see my face or whatever, right? Or you see whatever you see normally, right? You put
Okay.
my face on a wall or something so you can look at me over there later, right?
Whoa, so you could suck your own dick with that. Am I right? Is that what you could do?
we're basically turning this into
I could
a
wear an Oculus and then have my girlfriend or boyfriend, depending on who you are, wear her Oculus and then look at what she's looking at. I don't know if
Dude,
that's what you guys thought of internet, but that's the first thing that popped through my mind. Or you could, man, you could have. Okay, never mind. I'll talk about this at a later time. But this sounds like we're having some promising ideas. Now we're
I
heading
think you're
somewhere.
you
confused.
just
I
came
think
up
you're
with the killer
confusing.
app, dude.
You're
Oh my
confusing this
god.
idea for the portal gun.
I don't know, but it sounds like a good idea. Okay, go on. Do I care any more about
Okay,
this?
yeah. Okay, so check this out. So like, say you're building a computer, right? You don't know what the hell you're doing. You open your tower, right? You've got this alternate reality headset on, right? And you're like, Rip, I don't know I don't know how to do this, whatever, right?
I just rethought about that thought again, and that's a good idea. Go on. I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm listening.
All right. So like basically, I can see that you're looking into your tower, and I see it on my Skype. And now on my Skype, I can like circle things in 3D or whatever, and you will see it inside your tower show up as that. Does that make sense?
It
Like
probably
I
does.
can mark up stuff in your real 3D world for you to do. Like I can say plug
Oh,
the shit
that's
in
really
here.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of potential for the device, and I was thinking about like how it could relate to tech. And at first, I was like, oh well, you can, instead of having stages, you could just have like the characters fight in your living room or outside, super arcade or whatever. You can just be looking at it, watch the fight out there. And then I was thinking like, or you could have like freaking like your character sitting beside you, and you could just be like having them like talk shit to you or like tell you what to do or something. Or like you could have Kuma standing in your living room, or it's just all kinds of weird things that could happen with it. So
That sounds like
pretty
a
cool.
terrible idea.
It sounds like a fantastic idea.
My idea is the best idea. Anyway, yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not really all about the cutting edge technology shit because it's
It's
always
like 5 years away at least.
yeah, and it's always 5 years after it comes out before I get my hands on it. I remember I was on a CRT. The first 1080p TV that I got was the Asus monitor, and I was like, this thing was like a NASA space station when I got it. So I'm way behind when it comes to that. Same with cell phones and shit. So I have very little interest in that kind of stuff. And I know you love that shit. You already have
Oh
the
yeah.
Oculus, and it's your thing. But whatever. Let me know when you figure out how it is to suck your own dick, man. And all. I guess whatever. Cool.
I already know. Go on.
Damn.
Girl,
All right. Well, don't let me know. I'm not interested if that's the method you're using. But if you're using technology, let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anything else that we're missing? Any other weird dick sucking technology?
uh, on that topic, I guess Jamie Lee Curtis and her son might be coming to Evo.
Dude, what the fuck? Who? Okay, so there was a big stink about Jamie Lee Curtis coming to Evo and how she plays Street Fighter, right? And then I'm like, okay, whatever, right? Okay. Then Malice links a video that actually shows Jamie Lee Curtis playing Mortal Kombat.
What?
It's like some video where they're going through her house and it's like a documentary and she's sitting there playing Mortal Kombat with her son. And she is playing on first of all, an arcade stick that looks like the PDP arcade stick. So her choice of peripherals is way off. Secondly, she's playing with both her hands like this when there is a lever. And like when I say like this, like she's playing it like it's a hitbox, like a typewriter. But the left hand is not grabbing the lever. It's like what is she even doing? She's mashing like crazy is my point. So who gives a fuck? I mean, you can have anybody play at Evo and say they like Street Fighter. You can have fucking Spider-Man and, fucking Lando Calrissian play at Evo and say they like Street Fighter. Who cares about Jamie Lee Curtis? Whatever. Anyway.
well, I don't even think it's about. It was more about her son playing, and it's just like she's gonna take her son to play. So
Oh, that's way
people
more
are just
tight. I didn't know that.
yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
true? All right, cool. That'd be sick if Jamie Lee Curtis's son does some shit at Evo. That sounds tight. I thought it was all about her
think
playing at Evo.
No.
No, I think it's all about her son being
Mhm.
like a graduation present or something, taking him
Yeah.
to Evo. So
Wow.
something
Oh,
weird
that's
like
pretty
that.
tight. Cool. That's cool. Man, what if she enters and like we get footage of like I don't know Ricky Ortiz beating Jamie Lee Curtis in Street Fighter 4? That'd be tight.
World stars.
That'd be tight. Oh man, Evo is gonna be good this year. Evo's gonna. I could feel it. I could feel that Evo's gonna be good. Okay. Anything else that we missed, or are you guys gonna plug your shit and then we could call bitches?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, go ahead, Ricky. You streamed recently. Let's hear it.
Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/RicksDZ3Es. Same thing with Twitter, RicksDZ3Es. I'm trying to stream at least once or twice a week, so be on the lookout for that.
I've been getting a lot of people saying positive things about DJ Ricksta. It seems like your music choices are very. I think it's like you touch the demographics that I never touch. The the urban.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I do.
Urban demographic. Cool. Make sure you follow him, Rick Steezy with 3 E's. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on twitch.tv/levelupyourgame. And I've been streaming almost every day. My fingers hurting, so I stopped playing guitar for a little bit. But I'll be back.
Cool.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Repaul. That's it.
Make sure you do that. Bitch callings. Are you guys prepared? Mine's ready.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
A couple for me. First, that Microsoft event happens, whatever, and I read through all their stuff at the time on Windows 10, whatever, and I read this sentence, and it's like, we're trying to bring Windows 10 to like PCs, tablets, laptops, cell phones, Xboxes, and the Internet of Things. And I don't know what the hell the Internet of Things is. So whoever came up with that dumbass term, you're the bitch of stuff, the bitch of all things. I mean, what the hell does that mean? Do any of you guys know what that means? The Internet of Things?
The Internet of Things?
It's like a term like that they put that in a sentence with like PCs, laptops, smartphones, tablets, Xboxes, the Internet of Things.
That might be wrong. That might be a typo.
No, dude, it's not. It is that stupid. And so whoever came up with that term, that fool's a bitch. The other bitch that I have is Braviary 13, and anyone like him who's hacking on Tekken Revolution, because
Dude.
that is total garbage, dude. And first of all, Namco, you should fix that because you're also a bitch for this reason. People are paying real money. I lost a real money token to some guy who was hacking because I was like, all right, I can't beat this guy, so I'm going to lose my token. So I'm going to pull my Ethernet cable. So I pulled the Ethernet cable, and it takes my coin anyway. I'm like, there's no way I could have beat this guy. Like, he has 1 billion health, so I can't beat him by timeout. He could just stand there, and he would win every round, even if I hit him nonstop. It's just total garbage. So, Tekken Revolution's a bitch, Namco's a bitch for not fixing that, and Braviary 13, all the hackers like him, are also a bitch.
All right. That's all reasonable to me. What do you think, Ricky? You got one, or are you going to wait?
No, I got one. It's a very simple one, and it's Stefan Speed Kicks, whatever his last name is. The only reason why I'm calling him a bitch is because he spells his name with a PH. And I've never seen a P name Stefan, right? He says it's pronounced Steven. You don't pronounce PH as a V. I've never seen that. So let me know when you spell vegetables with a PH and we call it vegetables like that, vegetables, and then I'll agree.
Hell,
But
you're
until
retarded.
until then, he's a bitch for having a stupid name.
I
And you
presume
call
that
me a nerd?
I
God.
presume that that's something to do with like Creole, like a Cajun type of I don't know, whatever. Who gives a shit? Whatever. Yeah, you're a bitch. Speed kicks. I agree. Uh, okay. My bitch calling, without question, is Michael Watson. That is for sure. I Every Wednesday goes by, and I think like I don't even know how to put it into words, but there being no Super Arcade and there being no Wednesday night fights is like detrimental in so many ways. It's detrimental in a community level, it's detrimental on a personal level. Like it's just really something that it's bugging me, Genuinely it's bugging me. I miss Super Arcade, and I miss Wednesday night fights. I especially miss it with Alex Valle, so maybe I'll combine this into a two-part bitch calling. But first of all, Alex Valle, I miss Wednesday night fights. You're a bitch for not being involved. Watson, you're a bitch for not opening Super Arcade faster. I really, really hope that people don't forget about Super Arcade. I hope it's coming. I don't know where I don't know where it is, but it's not here right now, and whoever's responsible for it not being here right now is a bitch. I hope Super Arcade shows up soon, and I hope they return to their scheduled programming of Wednesday night fights and running the tournaments, because it really is a huge detriment to the scene. And just as I mentioned, for me personally, I really miss it a lot. It's something that I did every week, and though it would be really difficult for me to maintain my non-smoker stance, with a Super Arcade existing, I still really miss it a lot. And hurry the fuck up, Watso. Put down the bag of
Can I have a
Fritos.
can I have a reverse bitch calling?
Sure.
You are a reverse bitch just because of this whole quitting smoking thing. I thought you were gonna quit quitting smoking like a month ago. So, I'm impressed, man. I'm honestly impressed with the fact that you just said, "Fuck it, I'm not smoking. Here's 4 cigarettes. I'm gonna leave them here in the
Fuck you,
stable."
Ricky. I'm gonna smoke just because you said that. Put that shit in my mouth and light it up. Yeah, it's been a couple days, but whatever. I appreciate it. I'll take a reverse bitch calling if I could get one. Anyway,
Yeah.
internet. I think that wraps it up. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you guys later. Take it easy.
You later.